Hi, my name's Ann Basting. I'm a professor of English at the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, also the founder of Time Slips Creative Storytelling. I'm here for the big but brief to talk about meaning and connection and care, what I call creative care, and its impact on family caregivers and older adults. So you're going to hear in a lot of the presentations about the landscape of caregiving. And the key things you're going to hear about are the enormous amount of stress, the stigma that leads to isolation and loneliness, particularly compounded during the pandemic, and the propensity, much higher percentage chance of depression um, among caregivers for older adults, particularly those with dementia. What's in place right now to help alleviate those situations, providing educational resources, preparing people for care, preparing people to be caregivers and to receive care, which is something that we don't even focus on at all. So, social connection, providing people with meaningful social connection to offset the stigma and isolation and loneliness, respite to give people a break. And the thing that I really have focused on in the bulk of my work and my research, providing meaning-making opportunities and activities so that people have a chance to create a sense of purpose and to build relationship through the act of co-creation. So there are two main sectors that support family caregivers and older adults, particularly those with dementia, which is where the bulk of my work is focused. Of course, the healthcare setting and the social service setting. Recently, there's been much higher focus, and I'm sure you'll hear of this as well, within those two sectors on collaboration, particularly around the social determinants of health. Two of the main ones are identified as food insecurity and housing insecurity. And there's some incredible programs happening nationally around collaboration between healthcare providers and social service providers around identifying those vulnerabilities around food and housing. The area where we are starting, I think, to realize the importance and the impact is of that third circle, the arts and culture, which are rarely included in, say, age-friendly communities or even dementia-friendly community initiatives. And the meaning-making components and the social connectivity components that sector offers, I think, are wildly underutilized. The third main social determinant of health, of course, isolation, loneliness, lack of meaning or lack of purpose in one's life. Internationally, there's incredible models for us in the United States to follow. The UK, Australia, Canada, other places that had national healthcare systems have really started doing in the last decade amazing work in social prescribing, which is where clinicians actually refer clients, their patients to, and their caregivers to social support resources. There are some trials happening in the United States, particularly Culture RX in Massachusetts, and then some other smaller pilots. I believe Cleveland Clinic might be starting one as well, which are really pointing people toward this third sector, arts and culture programming. It leads to a great what if. What if at the point of diagnosis, we could offer neighborhood-based programs offering connection, meaning, and purpose to both caregivers and their care partner throughout the journey to the end of life? What a difference that would make to people's health. How do we get there? There's two basic ways. One, referral to programs in and collaborations with existing arts and culture systems, such as libraries, art museums, cultural institutions. This is happening already with social prescribing in the UK, and in the United States, we're starting to do it. We have over 900 memory cafes in the United States supporting caregivers and people with dementia. Those memory cafes are located in the two most populous states for them are Wisconsin and Massachusetts. They are located in libraries, museums, cafes, grocery store, cafes, wherever people can root a social support system for family caregivers and people with dementia. There's also a great network of art museum programs. Museum education programs have expanded their accessibility um, mandates and are really starting to offer programs for families with dementia and for older adults in and of themselves. The second way is through integration of meaning making capacity into health and social service systems. And this is where Time Slips is really doing a lot of innovative work, and I'm really proud of them. I'm just now president of the board, so I can just kind of spout off about the incredible work that they're doing. Um, they're doing a national demonstration project with Meals on Wheels America, where they're collaborating with a couple of different partners to train drivers, wellness call folks who are in their system to integrate meaning making opportunities into the provision of the meal itself. Again, studying that system for distribution of the meal, the calls, all of those different things, and then sliding the meaning making capacity right on top of it, and then just deepening the capacity of the existing service. Another project that they're doing right now is a grant to bring training to 25 Wisconsin dementia care specialists through the Aging and Disability Resource Centers in their creative engagement approach that is really simple for family and friends to absorb and integrate into their daily care routines. And that's being evaluated by partners at the Medical College of Wisconsin. All of this work depends really on this very simple thing, which is access to story. Human beings are story animals. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it doesn't matter. Whether it's words or movement, whatever capacity the person has can be the capacity that they use to express and make their mark on the world, on what they think meaning is for them in the world. The time slips approach, which has been and is disseminated to really lay people, it doesn't demand an expertise, is really this very simple communication cycle, which is asking open-ended, beautiful questions with no right or wrong answer, improvisation, which compels the process forward, yes, and then offering proof that the person has been heard, and then culminating in a product that demonstrates it has a value to it. This is sometimes where the artist will collaborate in the shaping of a product that has value. Again, here's just the example of the Meals on Wheels collaboration. And then I thought I would share a couple of projects more specifically during the pandemic. Of course, all the artists were out of work, and older adults were suddenly very isolated. And so we hired 10 artists through Time Slips with a grant from the Greater Milwaukee Foundation to reach out by phone to have storying workshops. Together with each artist reached out to 10 older adults. This was over 12 weeks. And the stories that were shaped together, it was a matter of skill building, really learning how to shape story together. And then also having them be stories that are both fictional and non-fictional, wherever the person wants to go. one of the artists created a product out with her 10 different older adults that she talked with, recipes for living, which were both real recipes because the artist was isolated and was making the recipes that the older adults gave her at home and photographing them, but then also recipes for living. What are the ingredients of a happy life? And in here you can see this particular one reaching out and helping others, listening, a good dialogue, not being so quick to judging. When we did the evaluation of this, this is just a nice little handwritten note that they received with our partner Eris. Dear Eris staff, warm, loving greetings. I am on the telestories, and my artist, Krista Kara, is just so wonderful, fun, and vibrant, and full of creativity. Just want you to know, so glad I got this artist. And here's saying, have a blessed fall and stay well. Oceans of love. Actually, the research showed that the participating elders, over 70 of them, were 41% reported a reduction in loneliness, 82% would recommend the program to a friend, 53% found it extremely meaningful, 14% meaningful, and the control group actually reported just 23% reported reduction in loneliness, which was just phone calls rather than meaning-making, storying phone calls. We've also been working, collaborating with caregivers at the United Community Center to offer the programming in Spanish. And this I wanted to just show is an illustration from an article, a really great chapter in a book by Ursula Le Guin, where she talks about storying and the relationship. The misconception about story between two people is this first slide, this first image, where we think it's just a transfer of information. And she says, kind of, you know, tongue in cheek and a sparkle in her eye, that it's much more like amoeba sex, that there's an actual exchange of personhood between the people. Le Guin says, listening is not a reaction, it is a connection. Listening to a conversation or a story, we don't so much respond as join in, become part of the action. And this is what takes me to the actual ethics of providing care itself. Carol Gilligan, who was a pioneer in this field of care and the ethics of care, said in a 2011 interview, a care ethic is an ethic grounded in voice and relationships, in the importance of everyone having a voice, being listened to carefully in their own right and on their own terms, and heard with respect. And that, if we can teach it as a tool to both sides of the care partnership, to volunteers, to professional, to informal and formal caregivers, we will help create kind of a net of an ethics of care that can be offered in support across the experience, across the whole journey of care. Because family caregivers care at home, they may also be caring for someone in adult day. They may also be caring for someone in assisted living. They may eventually be caring for someone in skilled care alongside the professional care team. And they need support in and across all care settings, because transitions in particular can be a point of crisis where people spiral into a health crisis. I just show this little project very quickly. It's very hard to do it very quickly. I did a whole chapter about it in Creative Care. A program called I Won't Grow Up, which was where we took apart an epic story, a story that people already know by heart, so that everyone, even with memory loss or young children, can participate. It's a joining together. It's a story that invites everyone of every ability together, so that they're co-creating rather than providing a service or doing something on to another person in the care relationship. So as part of I Won't Grow Up, of course, we took apart the story of Peter Pan. It involved writing original songs, which you see the lyrics of here to the left. writing happy thoughts so people could fly. This project took place in 12 rural nursing homes across the state of Kentucky. And our real big what if with this project was, what if we could make programming so interesting that we could turn a stigmatized health center into a valued cultural center where family members actually wanted to come and co-create, where staff co-created with the residents. We explored our fears, looking at the crocodile and how he embodies our fears of mortality. We asked them to enchant hidden places in the nursing home and public places. So they enchanted the antibacterial dispenser as a pixie dust station. We wrote letters from Wendy to Peter about what I miss about childhood, but if I wouldn't have grown up, this is what I would have missed. We took flying lessons with our choreographer from Chicago, Kevin Iega Jeff, who is just magical. And here you see staff and residents side by side. A little bit of face paint goes a long way toward transformation. And I think you see here the magic. It's hard to describe the impact of co-creation, but here I think you can see it just in people's eyes. Again, we incorporated everything. We ended up creating incorporated music and from local musicians. The director of nursing wrote an original song. It was truly an act of co-creation. Here you see an array of residents, staff, family members of staff, local artists and volunteers, really coming together to co-create an original immersive theater production that was the culminating event of the project. There's the grand finale with the singing of I'll Fly Away, choreographed by the elders. So the landscape of caregiving, that stress, that stigma, the isolation, loneliness, and depression is offset in this model where we bring in the arts and culture and meaning making by creative flow, by social support, by integration into community, by a sense of belonging and purpose, meaning making, and continuity across settings. And again, I just bring this in to remind us of the large untapped potential of the integration of the arts and culture sector into this new social determinants of health landscape we find ourselves in, that we can tackle isolation, loneliness, stigma, and the lack of meaning and purpose, increased sense of depression, things like that, by the integration of either existing programs or referral to existing programs, or the integration of these tools into the healthcare and social service systems themselves. And I end with my own family caregiving, little picture of my mom. So thank you.